Thank you very much, and welcome back, everyone. We'll just get right into it, and I will call to order the Public Improvement Commission hearing of July 27th, 2023. Mr. Lyman, would you please take a roll call?
Certainly. Would the representative from the Public Works Department please state his or her name for the record?
Yasha Franklin Hodge.
Property Management Department?
Joseph Callahan.
Transportation Department?
Amy Gordon.
Water and Sewer Commission?
Denise Devlin.
Disabilities Commission?
Sarah Leon.
Inspectional Services? Brian, are you on? Thought he was. Maybe if you're on, Brian, you're muted. Maybe experiencing some difficulties. Brian, if you are able to connect at some point, just let us know. But we do have a quorum.
All right, thank you very much. Well, with that, we'll get right on to the administrative business. Hearing minutes 1 at the request of the Public Improvement Commission staff, the acceptance of the minutes of the PIC hearing held on July 13th, 2023. Do I hear a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve the hearing minutes of July 13th, 2023.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed or abstain? So moved. On to first item of business, public hearing number 1, on a joint petition by the City of Boston Transportation Department and the City of Boston Public Works Department for the making of specific repairs within the following public ways in Boston proper and Roxbury, consisting of curb realignment, roadway and sidewalk reconstruction, as well as new and relocated pedestrian ramp, street lighting infrastructure, storm drain infrastructure, landscaping, driveway curb cuts, median islands, and raised crosswalks. Shawmut Avenue, generally between Hammond Street and Lenox Street. Washington Street, generally between Thorndike Street and Lenox Street / East Lenox Street. Hammond Street at Shawmut Avenue. Kendall Street at Shawmut Avenue. Lenox Street at Shawmut Avenue. East Lenox Street at Washington Street. So it's new business on July 13th, 2023, as shown on a set of plans entitled City of Boston Public Works Department Engineering Division Specific Repairs Plan. Shawmut Ave, Ball Street, Hammond Street, Kendall Street, Lenox Street, Washington Street, Thorndike Street, East Lenox Street, Roxbury, 16 sheets dated July 26, 2023. Would the proponents please introduce themselves, their affiliations, give us a brief overview of the project, and let us know about any changes since your new business hearing. And after that, we'll open up the floor for commissioners to ask questions.
Thank you, Commissioners. Good morning. My name is John Monticelli, representing the Transportation Department in this petition here. This is a joint petition with the Public Works Department. We've also been in close coordination with an advisory committee with the community, as well as the counselor's office here with these improvements to create and solidify various geometric and traffic calming elements in the Lower Roxbury neighborhood. The proposal includes, as you can see, some curb extensions and geometric changes, ramp reconstructions for accessible compliance, traffic calming measures such as raised crosswalks, street lighting improvements coordinated through the street lighting department here at Public Works, as well as some green infrastructure included into the depaving, in accordance with the depaving policies of the streets cabinet. I'm joined here by our consultant representative, Radu Nan. We do have a few notes here. So the plans that are on the screen here have not been revised since the new business proposal. We have 2 to 3 outstanding comments, some from the street lighting department, as well as 1 or 2 from the Disabilities Commission that we are attending to. So I'll let Radu speak for a moment. We'll do some questions, but ultimately we're going to request an approval on condition of addressing those to their satisfactions, respective of the departments. Thank you.
Good morning, Chair and members of the Commission. My name is Radu Nan with Kittleson Associates, supporting the Public Works Department and BTD. I may go off camera because my internet is a little bit shaky this morning, but you can see on screen the first area that proposed specific repairs were introduced 2 weeks ago are extending the curb lines, the edge lines on Shawmut Avenue and Hammond Street. to create new space for pedestrian ramps, the reconstruction of sidewalks around those pedestrian ramps, the creation of some pervious spaces. We're retaining and protecting a street tree on Hammond Street and constructing a raised crosswalk across Shamet Avenue, roughly between Ball Street and Hammond Street. At Kendall Street, we are realigning the edge lines to create accessible pedestrian ramps and reconstructing the sidewalks around those areas. The street lighting at the Hammond Street and Shamet Avenue is also being rearranged. The existing poles are being relocated to be closer to the new location of the crosswalks and the pedestrian ramps that are being reconstructed at that intersection. The next location, we're constructing a a maintenance driveway for Ramsey Park for the park department, just roughly like south of Lenox Avenue, so between Hammond and Lenox. We're also proposing the realignment of edge lines and the construction of a raised crosswalk roughly 616 Shamet Avenue to align with pedestrian walkways within the residential area just northwest of Shamet Avenue. At Lenox Avenue and Shamet Avenue, we're proposing the extension of the edge lines along Shamet Avenue, the reconstruction of pedestrian ramps, the reconstruction of sidewalks, and the introduction of new pervious spaces along those curb extensions. The following location where specific repairs are proposed is along Washington Street on the north side of Washington Street, roughly at Thorndike Street. At this location, we're proposing reconstructing the existing brick sidewalk, a pedestrian ramp, realigning the edge lines to position that pedestrian ramp closer to traffic lanes, and the introduction of a pedestrian median island in the center of Washington Street. Additional changes at this location include new drainage infrastructure work and street lighting work to all correspond with the new location of the crosswalk and the improvements. Small impervious area is being created as well. And finally, the last location where specific repairs are proposed is at Washington Street and Lenox Street on the roughly north corner of that intersection. Again, edge lines are being realigned, pedestrian ramps are being reconstructed, and the existing brick sidewalk is being rebuilt in this area, as well as the construction of two pedestrian islands in the center of Washington Street to promote safer crossing and shorter crosswalks for pedestrians using the Silver Line stations located on either side of Lenox Street along Washington Street. They're all the specific repairs proposed, and as John mentioned, these plans do not show any additional work from what was previously presented at the new business meeting, but we are still working on some finer details and locations of street lighting and pedestrian ramps within this area.
And just to be clear, again, the pedestrian ramp from the Disabilities Commission, the comments, one was a confirmation that level landing, Radu, if you can go to the Thorndike sheet, that the level landing being proposed was not in conflict with the tree pit there on the page north or top of page there. So we're just gonna provide a few more details on widths and kind of a zoomed in piece for the commission's satisfaction, but that doesn't require any reconstruction or redesign there. And then the other piece is an open item about the ramp reconstructions that were not originally included. Internally, there was some conversations about how to take care of those in a more expeditious manner. So we're gonna finalize that and again, get back to the commission, the Disabilities Commission.
Thank you very much. Commissioners, questions, comments? right, hearing none. PIC staff or members of the public?
I will take this opportunity to remind the public, if you wish to add testimony or ask questions, please use the raised hand function at the bottom of your screen. But at this time, I do not have any comments or questions, and I don't see anybody else.
All right, well, with that, do I hear a motion to approve public hearing number 1?
I'll make a motion to approve a joint petition by the City of Boston Transportation Department and the City of Boston Public Works Department for the making of specific repairs in Shawmut Ave, Washington Street, Hampton Street, Kendall Street, Lenox Street, and East Lenox Street, as read into the record by the chair.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed or abstained? So moved, and thank you very much. Thank you to the team who worked on these. It's always great to see really significant pedestrian safety and bicyclist safety improvements come through here. So thank you very much for the great work.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Thank you for your time.
All right, on to public hearing number 2 on a joint petition by Old Colony 6 Bonds Limited Partnership and the Boston Housing Authority for the acceptance of pedestrian easements adjacent to the following public ways in South Boston. Columbia Road on its northerly side, generally west of Old Harbor Street. Old Harbor Street on its westerly side, generally between Columbia Road and East 8th Street. Was new business on July 13th, 2023, as shown on 2 plans entitled City of Boston Public Works Department Engineering Division Pedestrian Easement Plan, Columbia Road, South Boston, 1 sheet dated June 13th, 2023, and City of Boston Public Works Department Engineering Division Pedestrian Easement Plan, Old Harbor Street, South Boston, 1 sheet dated July 18th, 2023. The proponents please introduce themselves, give us a brief introduction to the project and this action, and let us know if there have been any changes since your new business hearing.
Good morning, John Schmidt with Niche Engineering. Darcy, I believe Jameson's on the line, but perhaps she's having connection difficulties. We were here a couple of weeks ago for new business, and it's for phase 6 of the project. And this is the final phase of the Old Colony redevelopment that started probably 15, 20 years ago. We're excited to bring the project to closure. There it starts.
Can anybody hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Darcy.
Now we can't. Darcy, we can't hear you. I'll move ahead to the actions.
Can you guys hear me?
Now we can.
We can hear you now.
Okay. Sorry about that. Hi, everyone. Okay. Thanks, John. So I'm Darcy Jameson, Vice President of Development at Beacon. All of you know that. I've been working on Old Colony with the Boston Housing Authority for over a decade. And we're here today for the last building, which is incredible, joined by, of course, John Schmidt, who's been working with me all the way along, Brianna Kahn, Carla Chafee, who's our land use attorney at Nixon Peabody, and Letitia Raymond from the Boston Housing Authority. So, short and sweet, I just want to say thank you to everybody. This has been an incredible journey. It takes a lot of teamwork and a lot of cooperation, kind of understanding challenges, constraints, realities of financing, physical constraints, and the city has just been, and the PIC team, just incredible partners, and we really appreciate it. So I think that's all I have to offer today, just my appreciation and thanks, and I'll turn it over to John, and looking forward to wrapping this up. And I think folks know this project was funded by the state, so we're on closing track, which is terrific.
Thank you, Darcy. So the first application here is for the creation of a pedestrian easement on Old Harbor Street between Columbia Road and East 8th Street. Although the drawing does not indicate this, the easement will be extended to East 8th Street as requested by the commission this past few days. The easement is approximately 1.1 feet long, 1.1 foot wide, and again, the Mylars will reflect the full extent of the easement. The second pedestrian easement request is on Columbia Road, which will start at the edge of phase 5 and extend again to the intersection of Old Harbor Street. This was the request that was provided to, shared with us this past few days, so the final Mylars will reflect the extension of that 5.5-foot easement to the intersection of Old Harbor Street. Any questions?
Commissioners? PIC staff or members of the public?
I don't see anyone from the public. I do want to thank the project team for being so flexible with us on all of our plan comments and coordination. It's taken a lot to get to this point, but they've been great.
All right. Hearing no other questions or comments, do I hear a motion to approve public hearing number 2?
I'll make a motion to approve a joint petition by Old Colony 6 Bonds Limited Partnership and Boston Housing Authority for the acceptance of pedestrian easements in Columbia Road and Old Harbor Street, as read into the record by the chair.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed or abstained? So moved. On to public hearing number 3 on a joint petition by Old Colony 6 Bonds Limited Partnership and the Boston Housing Authority for the making of specific repairs within the following public ways in South Boston, consisting of curb realignment, roadway and sidewalk reconstruction with structural soil, as well as new and relocated pedestrian ramps, specialty pavement, street lighting infrastructure, street trees, bike racks, and raised crosswalks. Columbia Road, west of Old Harbor Street between Columbia Road and East 8th Street, East 8th Street generally between Old Harbor Street and Gate Street. New business from July 13th, 2023, as shown on a set of plans entitled City of Boston Public Works Department Engineering Division Specific Repairs Plan, Columbia Road, Old Harbor Street, East 8th Street, Boston proper, 5 sheets dated July 13th, 2023. Would the proponents please reintroduce themselves, their affiliations, and give us a brief overview of this action?
Good morning again, John Schmidt with Niche Engineering on behalf of Beacon Communities. Along Columbia Road from the edge of Phase 5 to the intersection of Old Harbor Street, we are proposing a new vertical granite curb, a new cement concrete sidewalk, the 2 new streetlights with pull boxes, conduit, and shadow conduit. We are providing a 5-foot furnishing zone with a blue bike station, 8 bike racks, and 4 trees, pervious pavers. And we're also, as we just recently approved, that's what triggered the need for the 5.5-foot pedestrian easement that was just recently approved. We're also maintaining the ramp at the termination of Gate Street as approved in the Phase 5 plans. Any questions?
Commissioners, any questions? PIC staff or members of the public?
I did have just one very quick question. The intersection of East 8th and Old Harbor. One of the curb extensions looks like it, I think on the southeast corner. One of the curb extensions looks like it might potentially be in conflict with a catch basin. Can you just confirm that, John, and if the plans need to be adjusted before Mylars?
Yeah, and actually, I still have to move ahead. Let's talk about, I'll give you an overview quickly of Old Harbor Street. We have new vertical curb, new cement concrete sidewalk, 4 new streetlights with pull boxes, conduit, shadow conduit, a 4-foot furnishing zone with 5 new street trees and pervious pavers. And this is also, and then we have the new bump outs for the pedestrian ramps on the southern side of Old Harbor Street as coordinated with BTD. And as I move to the next one, East 8th Street, we have new vertical curb. It starts at the edge of, new vertical curb, new cement concrete sidewalk, 2 new street lights with pull boxes, conduit and shadow conduit. There is no furnishing zone in this area, which is consistent with previous phases 4 and 5. We have about 7 feet from the back of curb to the property line. And we are providing a 5-foot minimum or greater path of travel at the pinch points. And getting back to Todd's question, the conflict with the catch basin at Gate Street, we will take a look at that, and whatever corrective measures have to be made, we'll review with you and provide on the Mylars when submitted.
Thank you.
All right, commissioners, any other questions, comments on the other sheets that we've just seen?
Chief, once again, hey, John, will we now get a composite maintenance agreement for all the phases, so the city will have one composite maintenance agreement?
So is there a comprehensive maintenance agreement with all the phases? I'll look to Darcy to speak to that.
That is not something that has been raised. So, hi, Para, good to see you.
Hi Darcy. So we are extremely excited that you are at the last phase. So rather than having 5 little babies, I think it will be good to see if we can work with our legal counsel to have a composite, because otherwise when something needs to happen, we will be chasing 5 little documents versus 1 document. Guidance from Mr. Liming and our corporation counsel will be truly appreciated.
Para, we will look into it. The only, and I will circle back, we'll talk offline.
Okay, awesome.
The only thing that I have to think about is each project is owned by a separate entity.
Oh, never mind. Okay, so Darcy, that's going to be awkward. So we just, PIC staff needs to be a little bit more diligent to ensure that we were not looking at your whole project as phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, but like Alpha Bravo Charlie David.
Yeah, I
Okay.
think, unfortunately, we'd like to think of it as one, but it is multiple, so
Okay.
I think that's got a hiccup. But it's still Beacon who oversees everything, and all you have to do is call me, and we'll figure it out with you.
Darcy, you've been so gracious. We may not always be there. So legal, smart lawyers will sort it out. Thank you, Darcy.
Okay, fair enough, we'll take a look.
Commissioners, any other questions, comments? PIC staff, members of the public?
All set.
Hearing none, do I hear a motion to approve public hearing number 3?
I'll make a motion to approve a joint petition by Old Colony 6 Bond Limited Partnership and the Boston Housing Authority for the making of specific repairs in Columbia Road, Old Harbor Street, and East 8th Street, as read into the record by the chair.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed or abstain? So moved. Thank you very much, and congratulations to the project team on getting to this final phase of this very transformative project. All right, on to public hearing number 4 on a joint petition by Old Colony Hub LLC, Old Colony Phase 3A4 Limited Partnerships, Old Colony Phase 3A9 Limited Partnership, and Old Colony Revitalization Corporation for the acceptance of a pedestrian easement adjacent to Dorchester Street Public Way, South Boston, located on its southeasterly side, generally between Reverend Burke Street and East 9th Street, new business from July 13th. Is shown on a plan entitled City of Boston Public Works Department Engineering Division Easement Plan Dorchester Street between East 9th Street and Reverend Burke Street, South Boston, 1 sheet dated July 13th, 2023. Will the petitioners please introduce themselves and give us an update on an overview of the project and an update on anything that's changed since your new business hearing.
Good morning,
Yeah,
John.
John, oh,
Go ahead, Darcy.
all right, I'll just start and then hand it to you, John. So just by way of reminder for everybody, ages ago, the city had asked if we could put some street trees in along Dorchester, and we are going to do that. And then over the last couple of weeks, it was a question of could we also do some sidewalk work there. So working with the city and my folks at Beacon and the BHA, I shook the piggy banks. We can do the sidewalk work for the city, and we've worked with Todd and everybody to reach an agreement on that. So that's terrific. And it's the right thing to do, so we're thrilled to be able to accommodate the request. We've reached out to our lenders and investor. I think we're fine on the easement request. Carla still has to give everybody the actual easement document to review, and we need to get it all executed, but barring any challenges or questions or whatever there, I think we're in good shape to wrap all that up and proceed with doing the sidewalk work and the trees. And from what I understand, this approval will kind of give us what we need to do that, and that'll be great.
So John Schmidt, Niche Engineering. So the installation of 4 new street trees requires the widening of the sidewalk in order to provide a 5-foot clear minimum path of travel. So in doing so, we are requesting an easement that's approximately half a foot wide between along Dorchester Street between Richard Burke and East 9th Street. Any questions?
Commissioners?
I just want to thank the team for pursuing this easement as well as the sidewalk improvements in order to get an accessible path to travel. We really appreciate your hard work during these 2 weeks.
Absolutely. Thanks, Amy.
CIC staff, members of the public.
All set.
Do I hear a motion to approve public hearing number 4?
I'll make a motion to approve a joint petition by Old Colony Hub LLC, Old Colony Phase 3A4 Limited Partnership, Old Colony Phase 3A6 Limited Partnership, and Old Colony Revitalization Corporation for the acceptance of a pedestrian easement in Dorchester Street as read into the record by the chair.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed or abstained? So moved. On to public hearing number 5, on a petition by Old Colony Hub LLC for the making of specific repairs within Dorchester Street, public way, South Boston, located on its southeasterly side between Reverend Burke Street and East 9th Street, consisting of sidewalk reconstruction with structural soil, as well as new street trees. New business from July 13th, 2023, as shown on a set of plans entitled City of Boston Public Works Department Engineering Division, Specific Repair Plan, Dorchester Street between East 9th Street and Reverend Burke Street, Boston. 2 sheets dated July 13th, 2023. Proponents, please reintroduce themselves and give us a brief overview of the proposed change and any updates since new business.
Good morning, John Schmidt with Niche Engineering. So we'll be reconstructing the sidewalk between Richard Burke Street and East 9th Street, and as well as installing 5 new public street trees. We will have an 8.5-foot wide sidewalk, but 3-foot tree pits, so we are maintaining a 5-foot clear path of travel between options. Any questions?
So, question, I believe the proponents, in lieu of the somewhat unique circumstances of how this project came to be, have requested a waiver from certain deposits and fees that the city, the Public Works Department would typically charge for a permit to do sidewalk work. I would just like to confirm that the proponents intend to construct this in full compliance with city specifications and requirements, particularly as it pertains to ADA compliance for ramps and sidewalks, and that irrespective of whether any of those deposits and fees are waived, that the proponents will work with the city to ensure that the final product meets the city's needs.
I mean, the simple answer is yes. We're gonna build what we're showing on John's plans. And I think that's the full scope. I guess the hesitation I'm hearing is, you know, we pretty limited resources to do this. So I just want to make sure we're all, before we agree to do all this, we're in 100% agreement on the scope, so that I don't have any surprises financially. But I think we're all on the same page.
Yeah, that is the intent of this hearing, is to agree on the scope and formalize that. But I think just
we want to do it.
you know, the city typically has deposits that are used to ensure the product is constructed in alignment with what is done here. And since there was a waiver requested, I just want to affirm that you will intend to construct as shown. And, you know, subject to final review and sign off of the city, but we're certainly not intending to expand the scope beyond what is shown here. Okay, excellent. All right, excellent. Commissioners, any other questions or comments?
Oh, yes, I'd just like to make a couple of comments. There's a 20-inch water main in the sidewalk there, and we don't want trees over the water main. It looks like it's right on top of it.
Yeah, Denise, I raised this question when the plans were presented to me last week, because I'm not the engineer of record. I'm stepping in for John Hedlund. And he explained to me that the record, we confirmed that the water main is not there. It's actually in the street, and the record plans are wrong. As we.
Oh, okay, all right. Actually, so then the other issue is we were actually replacing the water main in 3 years. Okay, so that's fine. If that's where it is, I don't want to. I'm not. Questioning you or anything like that, but if I don't want to make things complicated for you, but I don't know if we can make it contingent upon us reviewing it you know, that way they can keep, you can, you know, kind of move on, but if we can just kind of review that with you, that'd be great.
Yes, I will ask John Headland to confirm with you when he returns that you're in agreement with where the water line actually is.
Yeah, if I
Okay,
might,
great,
this is,
thank you.
if I might, this is Colin Horser from Niche Engineering. We confirmed with Phil Rock a few weeks ago about the location of the water main, and he has the records from the test pits as well.
Okay, great, yeah, then that's fine. I mean, I'm not, like I said, I just want to just make sure we have other people that made those comments, so I just want to make sure that we're all in agreement. If we could still, you know, do that after the meeting, that'd be great. Thank you.
Denise, that was the first thing we really did, was go do the test pits to make sure we all knew where it was, because we knew there was some debate.
Okay,
So,
all right, great, thank you, Darcy.
yeah, Bill, circle back with you, but I think we're in good shape.
All right, great, no, I appreciate it, thank you.
Great.
Any other questions, comments from the commission? PIC staff or members of the public?
All set.
Do I hear a motion to approve public hearing number 5?
I'll make a motion to approve a petition by Old Colony Hub LLC for the making of specific repairs within Dorchester Street as read into the record by the chair.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Aye. Any opposed or abstain? So moved. Thank you all very much.
Thanks to everyone.
Thank you.
All right, on to public hearing number 6, on a petition by Verizon New England Incorporated for a granted location with lead company status and no participants to install new telecommunication conduit with city shadow within Mount Pleasant Avenue, Public Way, Roxbury, generally located from address number 39 at Mount Pleasant Terrace to Forest Street. New business from July 13th, 2023, as shown on a plan entitled City of Boston Public Works Department Engineering Division Grant of Location Plan, Verizon 39 Mount Pleasant Avenue, proposed conduit installation, 1 sheet dated April 2023. Would the proponents please introduce themselves, give us a brief overview of the project and any updates since your new business hearing.
Good morning, James Day Toronto, representing Verizon New England. I'm just gonna pop the plan up on the screen here. Yeah, Verizon is petitioning to place approximately 322 feet of conduit with city shadow from our existing manhole to a proposed shared use handhole placed by Extenet Systems. No changes from the new business that I'm aware of. Are there any questions?
Commissioners? PIC staff, members of the public?
All set on this.
All right, do I hear a motion to approve public hearing number 6?
I'll make a motion to approve a petition by Verizon New England for a grant of location in Mount Pleasant Ave as read into the record by the chair.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed or abstain? So moved. Thank you very much. All right, we are on to the new business portion of the hearing. So we will dive right in with new business 1, 49 to 63 Hudson Street, Tyler Street, Boston proper, pedestrian easement, specific repairs, and a set of joint petitions by Asian Community Development Corporation and the Boston Redevelopment Authority, DBA, Boston Planning and Development Agency. Would the presenters please introduce themselves, their affiliations, provide us a brief overview of the project and the various actions you are proposing, after which we will go to questions from the commission.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the commission. Can I be heard? Am I hearing? Are you hearing me?
Yep, we can hear you.
Thank you. All right, my name is Peter Munkenbeck. I'm representing the Asian CDC. I think there's a lot of background noise from the City of Boston emblem there. I don't know if that can be muted. Maybe you can hear me over that. No, there we are.
Yeah, we can hear you all right, but we'll work on that noise.
Okay. It's from the City of Boston emblem there. And it seems to, yeah, it's overcoming the microphone.
We can hear you. You can proceed.
All right, I'll just carry on. You'll tell me if you can. So my name is Peter Munkenbeck. I'm representing the Asian CDC with whom I've been working for 30 plus years on a series of developments in Chinatown, this being the latest substantial development. The members of our team who are here are John Schmidt representing Niche Engineering on behalf of Jonathan Headland, who's on leave. And we also have Billy Kahn from Asian CDC, and the landowners are represented today by Emma Bird for the BPDA, and she has perhaps colleagues with her. So that's, and we also have our attorney, Peter Kachansky from the firm of Coulson and Stores, if there are any questions that come up relating to the legal status. So I will just briefly give context and then turn it over to John to go through the actual easement and improvement drawings. The property is on Hudson Street, just off of Neeland Street, behind that very large building you see to the right, which is 75 Neeland. It is across the street from One Greenway, and it is next to a vacant lot, as you see on the left there. The property has a purpose of housing the Boston Public Library Chinatown branch. You can see that two-story portion there. And it also will house 110 households, of which 66 will be renting and 44 will be owners, and all will be income-restricted units. The features of the property from the point of view of the public way are that we have a very substantial setback from the street along Hudson. We have a minor setback on Tyler. The main entrances and the main attraction will be on Hudson. A major challenge because of the elevation is that the floor plates of both the library and the housing are, except for certain areas that are not sensitive to floods, we had to elevate those floors 4 and 5 feet above the sidewalk. And so some of the improvements relate to being able to access the building. So I'll turn with that to John Schmidt and ask John if he would please narrate, if he put up the specific repairs and narrate the proposal.
Thank you, Peter. So the specific repairs along Hudson Street will include the installation of new granite curb, a new concrete sidewalk that provides a 6.1 clear path of travel, 2 new street lights with pull boxes, conduit, shadow conduit. We're also providing a 4-foot wide furnishing zone that consists of 12 bike racks. We are protecting and maintaining the existing 3 street trees. We're introducing pervious pavers and irrigation. This sidewalk program also requires the creation of a 2.3-foot wide pedestrian easement that is a separate action within this application. Moving along to Tyler Street. Tyler Street has a new granite curbing, a 5.2 concrete sidewalk, 1 new street light with pull boxes, conduit, and shadow conduit. We're providing a 3-foot furnishing zone, which include 3 bike racks, 3 new public street trees, pervious pavers, and irrigation. And this sidewalk program requires the creation of a 0.8-foot wide pedestrian easement along the frontage of the building.
One wrinkle, John, that I want to make sure we address is a rather slightly unorthodox curb cut to service dumpster, wheeling out into the street, and being designed specifically so that it doesn't appear to be, a handicap ramp. Thank you. That's all I have, John.
That's all I have.
Commissioners, questions? Hearing none, PICP staff.
Sorry, Chief.
Go ahead.
Amy, are you okay with the dumpster movement operations as it impacts Tyler being a one-way street and all our grandiose plans for Tyler Street? I'm not sure whether you got a sense of how the dumpster operations are going to come out. Tyler is an extremely narrow street with on-street parking on both sides and little bit of room left. Amy, that's just for you.
Yeah,
sir.
no, right, similar, I guess I have a similar question I was going to ask them out of this, but, yeah, no, what's the parking in front of this? Are we restricting parking on either side of this, that it will make it look more like a ramp for sure, if we are clearing space for it? So I think that aspect of it will be, also, is it, the stuff comes to the sidewalk and this is so that we can get it out, or are you leaving it in the street?
We've asked for 60 feet of loading zone, beginning at the far left of our property line there, and coming back approximately a foot or two past that little ramp. And so there will be normal parking up until that ramp. If you're coming north on Tyler, which is the direction of traffic, there'll be ordinary parking until you get just to that ramp. And at that moment, it will turn into a loading zone, and the loading zone continues that way. So the purpose of that being that a garbage truck is expected to pull alongside the curb, just past the ramp, and then the dumpsters will wheel out into the street, and there'll be an attendant there at the time the truck is there. The dumpsters will be unloaded onto the truck, and then wheeled right away back up into the building.
Thanks.
Can I ask, where are you in the creation and approval of your construction management plan for this project?
We have submitted a draft construction management plan to the department, and I do not believe we've received comments back on it.
Got it. Okay. I asked the question because we have had quite a bit of concern from folks in the Chinatown community about the impacts of construction projects on parking, the very limited supply of resident parking in the neighborhood. And so I think the request here is that as you work through the finalization of that construction management plan, that you work to minimize project impacts on parking during the duration of the project, and forestall those impacts as much as possible to the extent that there's a phasing element to how your work will impact the right-of-way. There are several other projects in the immediate vicinity that will be wrapping up over the next 18 months or so. And so depending upon your construction timeline, the goal would be to not have so many projects impacting parking all at the same time. Obviously, that's a matter to work through in the construction management plan, but I want to state that request here because it's something that's created quite a bit of concern for both the Public Works and the Transportation Department in conversations with community.
Thank you. We have indeed heard these comments, and we are, Asian CDC, as you can imagine, has its ear to the ground in the community. We're very concerned about that. We have communicated both to the local city councilor as well as other officials associated with the mayor's office, and we are in a very, intense dialogue to make sure that we work as sensitively as possible on that issue. We will be removing approximately 12 spaces temporarily, and we'll be restoring eventually 6 of those spaces to ordinary parking, with the other 6 being distributed between the loading zone on Tyler as well as the pickup and drop-off zone on Hudson. But we'll restore about half of the parking that we temporarily removed.
Well, I appreciate your continued work on that and the sensitivity to the issue as you finalize your CMP.
Thank you.
Commissioners, any other questions, comments? PIC staff, members of the public?
I believe we had touched on this, Peter, a while back, but those proposed trees on Tyler Street, if those are going to be right adjacent to loading zones, we're going to want to make sure that those species are not going to be such that the trucks pulling up to the curb there are going to be damaging the trees once they become mature. So let's just be thoughtful about that with your landscape architect.
Yes, indeed, that is part of the plan, and the landscape architect is integrated into the planning of the hardscape as well as the curbside uses.
Thanks, that's all I have.
All right. Hearing no other questions, will you be ready for your public hearing in 2 weeks on August 10th?
Yes, we will.
We will be ready.
All right. Excellent. Well, we will look forward to seeing you then. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
On to our next item of business, new business number 2, 420 to 438 Rutherford Avenue, Bunker Hill Industrial Park, Charlestown, specific repairs on a petition by Related Beal, DBA RREF 3, The Town Portfolio LLC. The proponents please introduce themselves, their affiliations, and give us an overview of what's being proposed in the project and the specific actions.
Hi, so can everyone hear me? I'm Will Grosvenor. I'm with Related Beal, representing ownership. So we're currently in the process of building a 110,000 square foot life sciences building on Rutherford Avenue. As many of you are aware, we have been working diligently with BPDA as well as transportation with the new Rutherford Ave improvements that are occurring. There's been a bunch of conversation around sort of some temporary conditions and what that looks like. And so, we've been working with them to try to figure that out. Deb Danik is also on the line, Deb Danik with Niche, so I will turn it over to her.
Great, thanks, Will. Can everyone see my screen? I think I shared.
Yes, we can.
Oh, wonderful, thank you. So yes, this is the project that Will was mentioning. It's at 420 Rutherford Ave, which is at the corner of Rutherford Avenue and Bunker Hill Industrial Park, both of which are public ways. We're proposing modifications to the Rutherford Avenue sidewalk, basically for the interim condition, working closely with BTD and the BPDA about their future plans for the development of this corridor. So as you look at the plans, what we're proposing to do on Rutherford Avenue, which is about a 10-foot wide public sidewalk, we're gonna have in there 5.5 feet of cement concrete sidewalk for pedestrians, and then about a 4-foot wide pervious paver strip, which will match kind of what's happening north of the site. We're proposing within the private site, street trees, the equivalent to street trees, keeping them within our site, such that in the future, when the Rutherford Avenue improvements come through, they're not taking down trees that had been pretty newly planted. We're proposing a bit more robust improvements along Bunker Hill Industrial Park. Right now, the actual sidewalk along Bunker Hill Industrial Park stops at the corner of Rutherford Avenue. So with the new building going in at the corner there, we're proposing more pedestrian access along Bunker Hill Industrial Park. So there is a sidewalk on the south side, not on the north side. So the north side, we're proposing about a 7-foot wide cement concrete sidewalk with landscaping on either side. The landscaping near the curb we're gonna put in a street tree. We have some street lighting improvements that are happening, but also a blue light station. And then we'll also have some trees at the back of sidewalk that are intermixed with also some bicycle parking. The other things we're going to do is reconstruct an existing pedestrian crossing to cross Bunker Hill Industrial Park. We're going to reconstruct that as well as provide an accessible crossing at basically the project driveway, which in the future we've also been coordinated with BPDA transportation planning. In the future, this is hoping to be more of a connector road and connector street through Hood Park to allow car access through there as well. So we'll have accessible accommodations for the pedestrians to cross, and we're also putting in a bit more street lighting through this area. Basically, that is the extent of our proposed improvements along the Rutherford Avenue portion in front of our site, the Bunker Hill Industrial Park, across our site and the driveway. So if there are any questions, I'd be happy to entertain them.
Commissioners?
Was a full driveway condition at the project's driveway ever considered instead of a traditional pedestrian or crosswalk condition?
We did consider that, but knowing that the future goals of basically this driveway, we've designed the driveway such that it can be converted to a public road, or the dimensions of a public road such that basically, let me see if I can get a little right from it. You can see here this what's called Street B right now is basically our driveway that goes into a parking lot. So we're designing this such that it can be a roadway connection through to the Hood Park work. So right now we have it's a private way, it's a private street, but we left that as basically a typical street crossing for the pedestrians with the knowledge that in the future this really is going to potentially become a more robust public way access.
Deborah,
Sorry,
I have a,
Go ahead.
sorry.
Go ahead.
Sorry. Deborah, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Does the project team or its contractor, does it need any temporary easements within the city property, within our sidewalks or any of that areas for you all to do the work?
There is a construction management plan. The project is under construction and they have taken some of the sidewalks to do the work. But actual easements, long-term, above or below grade, we do not need. The building is set back from the property line and we're able to provide the pedestrian paths of travel without any easements within the right of way.
Deborah, for some reason I wasn't aware that your project was under construction and that you all are occupying the city's sidewalks. And I'm sure it is all permitted, but could you do me a favor? Could you please send to my office through PIC the totality of the sidewalks that you all are temporarily occupying?
Yeah. Yeah, we
within
can.
your project side.
Yeah, we can
Okay.
give the sidewalk permit.
Yeah, to the extent if you can cross-reference the plans that were approved by the city and what is actually being there. So this way, if I have to go take a look, I may be looking at apples and apples, not apples and oranges.
Absolutely, yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Nick.
You're welcome.
Related to that, earlier, I guess very late last year, the city observed some really problematic conditions on the Rutherford Ave sidewalk adjacent to the project site. The sidewalk was in a state of great disrepair. At points it was being diverted into the street without any accessible ramp. And even then, the actual path of pedestrian travel was being blocked by construction gates. While I appreciate that these are temporary conditions related to construction, it is concerning to have a proponent who has demonstrated some significant disregard for the public right-of-way during the course of construction. So I would appreciate it if the proponents can follow up with us about current conditions and what is being done to rectify any, to ensure that any accessibility issues during the construction phase where you are occupying the public right-of-way to do this project, that those are being rectified and what plans are in place to monitor to ensure compliance. I will just say as a, while this is not, a unique circumstance, it is surprising and frustrating to see it from such a large and well-financed entity to be constructing with such lack of oversight on the basics of ensuring that the public right-of-way is respected. So we would like to see some follow-up from the proponents on those issues in the interim period between now and your next hearing. And I'd be happy to provide photographs if there is any uncertainty about what we're referring to.
Yeah, I was just about to say, I certainly, we will definitely follow up with that, and we fully understand your concerns. If you had specific examples and or pictures, I think that would be helpful, because I certainly was not aware of it, but we'll talk with our construction team and make sure that there's no issues going forward.
Yeah, and these do date back to an earlier phase of the project, so these may have been issues resolved already, but that they happened at all is a problem for us.
Understood.
Commissioners, any other questions or comments? PIC staff, members of the public?
I think we're all set here.
All right, will you be ready for your public hearing in 2 weeks on August 10th?
Yes, we will. We'll follow up on those construction items.
Thank you very much. We will plan to see you then.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to our next item, new business 3, 44 Ellery Street, Southampton Street, Boston Street, South Boston, widening and relocation, pedestrian easement, specific repairs, on a set of petitions by 44 Ellery LLC. Would the proponents please introduce themselves, their affiliations, give us a brief overview of the project and the specific actions here.
Yes, good morning, Chairman. Thank you, Chairman, members, and staff, commissioners. My name is George Moranci. I'm the attorney for the project at 44 Ellery Street. I represent 44 Ellery Street LLC, which is to say Malcolm Barber and Niall Dowdle were also here present at the hearing. These petitions, here on my screen. These petitions relate to an 18-unit residential development project at 44 Ellery Street, which was approved pursuant to the BPA's Article 80 Small Project Review process in January of 2022 and by the Zoning Board of Appeal in February of 2022. This is the site denoted on this aerial shot. This is an architectural site plan, which is just providing an overview of the site with some details of the building program and the building's footprint. The site plan review process by the BPDA and other city agencies necessitated the filing of the 3 petitions, one for pedestrian easement, one for specific repairs, and one for widening and relocation of a portion of Ellery Street. This first plan is the street widening and relocation plan. This is to allow for future widening of Ellery Street adjacent to the 44 Ellery Street site. This widening was requested to be an area of 2 feet wide by approximately 50 feet in length, the width of the site, representing approximately 100 square feet as indicated on this plan. This is the area of the proposed widening. The next plan, the pedestrian easement plan, depicts the 8-foot widening of the public sidewalk in front of the project site in order to allow for compliance with City of Boston complete street guidelines, new tree pits, and ADA access requirements. The area of the requested pedestrian easement is 8 feet by approximately 50 feet in length, the width of the site, for approximately 400 square feet. The third plan is the specific repairs plan, which details the installation of a new 12-foot curb cut on Ellery Street. This would be a standard residential driveway curb cut. Removal of existing cobblestone curbing on a portion of Ellery Street, actually adjacent to the site. A reconstruction of a portion of the sidewalk on Ellery Street, including, of course, directly in front of the site, but again, also to the left of the site, the westerly direction, as Ellery Street approaches Southampton Street. Installation of new granite curbing on the same portion of Ellery Street. The installation in front of the site, where I'm indicating with my mouse cursor, of 3-foot by 8-foot tree wells. In front of the site, in front of the building, the installation of new ADA-compliant pedestrian ramps at the two corners of Ellery Street's intersection with the easterly side of Southampton Street. Ellery, where I'm tracing my mouse cursor, of course, Southampton Street on the westerly side. These pedestrian ramps would facilitate access to and from the MBTA's Andrew Rapid Transit station on the Red Line, which is located approximately where I'm tracing my mouse cursor out, just about directly across Southampton Street from the terminus of Ellery Street. These pedestrian ramps, as well as all of the specific repairs detailed on this plan, would involve the rebuilding two city standards of sidewalks surrounding the new pedestrian ramps, the striping of a new 10-foot wide crosswalk meeting city standards connecting the pedestrian ramps. With that, I'll pause and take any questions that any of the commissioners may have.
Commissioners? PIC staff, members of the public?
I think we're all set.
All right, nice and easy. Will you be ready for your public hearing in 2 weeks on August 10th?
Yes, Chairman, we will be.
All right, excellent. Well, we will look forward to seeing you then. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
On to new business 4, Holmes Avenue, Mount Ida Road, Dorchester, granted location on a petition by Verizon New England Incorporated. Would the proponents please introduce themselves and give us an overview of what is being proposed?
James DeTrondo, representing Verizon New England. Just going to share my screen real quick. Verizon is petitioning to place approximately 383 feet of conduit with city shadow from existing manhole 319 on Holmes to a existing Crown Castle handhole. I know there had been some emails exchanged regarding current conditions of this road, and we are working on obtaining photos of the current conditions. Planning to have those, I believe, by the end of this week. Are there any questions or comments?
Commissioners? PIC staff or members of the public?
All set on this one, I think.
All right, will you be ready for your public hearing in 2 weeks?
Should be.
All right, excellent. We will see you then. On to new business number 5, 246 Seaver Street, Maple Street, Roxbury, granted location on a petition by Verizon New England Incorporated. Would the proponents please reintroduce themselves and give us an overview of what is proposed here?
James DeTrondo, again, representing Verizon New England. Verizon is proposing to place approximately 263 feet of conduit with city shadow from existing Verizon manhole 782 on Seaver Street to Extenet shared use handhole on Maple Street. I believe it's the same as the last. We're looking to obtain photos on the existing conditions of the roadway. Are there any questions or comments?
Commissioners? PIC staff or members of the public?
I had reached out to Verizon, specifically Karen Levesque, regarding this one specifically, and I let her know that our expectation was going to be that these roadways, both of them, Maple and Seaver, would be resurfaced from curb to curb. Maple curb to curb, on Seaver from sidewalk curb to median curb, I should say, because of the guaranteed street nature and recent resurfacing of Seaver Street as well. And she agreed to that, so just for the record.
All right, any other comments or questions? Hearing none, we'd be ready for your public hearing in 2 weeks on August 10th.
Yes.
All right, we will see you then. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And on to our final item, new business number 6, Causeway Street, Boston proper, granted location on a petition by TC Systems Incorporated. Would the petitioners please introduce themselves, their affiliations, and what is being proposed here?
Good morning, members of the PIC. My name is Erica Hudson from Sienna Engineering Group, representing TC Systems. TC Systems is seeking grant of location on Causeway Street to place telecommunications conduit with no participants. Starting on Causeway Street, we will be breaking out of Verizon manhole number 1075 and continuing northeast onto the intersection of Causeway Street and North Washington Street to Verizon manhole number 1068. The conduit will consist of 2 4-inch PVC conduits and 1 quad duct city shadow, which will be a total of approximately 346 feet. And as requested, we did take recent photos of the route. On the left side, this is where we will begin at Verizon manhole 1075 on Causeway Street. And on the right, you can see a wider view. Next, we have Causeway Street and Redford Street. And on the right, this will continue northeast towards North Washington Street. And on this last slide here, we have the intersection of Causeway Street and North Washington Street. And on the right, we are showing Verizon manhole number 1068. And I can take any questions at this time.
Commissioners? I will ask, just given that this does traverse a sidewalk, can you just speak to your expectations for restoration and accessibility on the sidewalk if you are indeed trenching across that concrete?
Yes, so we will make sure to restore the sidewalk to its current condition or better, and we will also make sure to make a pathway for pedestrians and ensure
Do you anticipate? Sorry, go ahead, finish, please.
Yeah, we will just ensure that it's safe for the pedestrians along the sidewalk as well.
Okay, it would be helpful, given that this is a very high pedestrian traffic environment with both a stadium and a major transit hub, it would be helpful to make sure we understand any interim impacts and expected timeline for restoration to make sure that there isn't some extended period where there is the problematic path or a condition in which the sidewalk is closed and large volumes of pedestrians are being detoured. So this is a place where getting your plan for how this will be constructed and restored and timing expectations in advance of your public hearing would be appreciated.
Okay.
Commissioners, any other questions? PIC staff, members of the public?
I think we're all set on this one. Thank you, Erica, for getting these photos so quickly.
Thank you.
All right, will you be ready for your public hearing in 2 weeks on August 10th?
Yes.
Excellent, well, we will see you then.
Thank you.
And that concludes our agenda for today. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second. Wow.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, so moved. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.